after another little break, because people are getting influenza, there were holidays and things happened. I have a new keyboard, and I'm wondering the new keyboard is going to make my typing better or worse because, as we've learned over the last few episodes, my typing isn't great if I'm not looking at the keyboard. I never learned to type properly. I never took a typing class. I don't type well. I make a lot of mistakes. This new keyboard is smaller. Ooh. But I think that's going to mean more mistakes. But that's mistakes are okay. Mistakes are how we learn and how we improve. That's the exciting part of learning is making mistakes. We have a question on the screen. Jane bought 5 silk handkerchiefs. Ooh, silk handkerchiefs, very fancy. Because she was going to give each one to a different friend. She asked the sales clerk to wrap them something. We have legally, financially, accidentally, individually. Start with legally. Oh, legally. It learning my new keyboard. Okay. All right, that's fine. Uh I have been using a Japanese keyboard for the last like 20 years. And this is actually the American layout. So some of the symbols on the keyboard don't actually match where the keys are. I'm feeling like maybe this was a mistake. But legally really just means it's okay to do. So I think you probably know illegal means against the law or can't can't do it. So legal just means according to the law, it's okay, you won't get in trouble. Illegal means it's against the law, you can't do it. Hmm. It's strange to make a sense of legal. We don't talk about things being legal because they're okay. We know they're okay. It would be if you were in a different country. In Japan, you can legally drink in public. This is something that in Canada, illegal to drink public. I can see my mistakes. Word is very kindly fixing all my mistakes, which is good. So in Japan, you can legally drink in public. So if I go to a park and I have beer or sake or something and I drink it, I will not get in trouble. In Canada, you can only drink in a restaurant or a bar or at home. You can't drink out in public. The police will come and tell you to stop. Usually you don't get in trouble if you do or if you try, but the police will tell you to stop doing that. Let's do that. In Japan, you drink in public. If you drink alcohol is the important part. The police will not stop you. In Canada, if you drink ah, alcohol in public, the police will tell you stop. And then if you argue with the police or something, then you would get in trouble. But basically, it's not a big crime. It's a small thing, but then you're not allowed to do it. If you have parades, Canada Day is famous for people going downtown. There's a big celebration in big cities, but then people are always drinking. The police will take your drink and just pour it in the street. That's actually, I've seen a river of beer in the street in when I was in high school when we went downtown. Okay, let's back. Okay. Financially. Okay. financially. Finance, let's actually start here. Finance is about money. I have to find the equals. I use the equals a lot, I just realized. Oh, there it is. Okay, finance is about money. So if you work in finance, you probably work for a bank or a company that has something to do with money. So financially is about money. Oh, trying to think of a situation. I always think of the phrase financially secure. And this would mean you have enough money to live. What was that? I can't. Good. Okay. So financially secure is a phrase because they'll talk about like, do you have enough money to retire? Are you financially secure? If you can quit your job and still live, you are safe. Secure means safe. And then financially is money. So if you have enough money to be safe. So let's use that phrase. Got my first job, had a lot of debt. This is very normal. Took many years before I was financially secure. Come on. Thank you. Always saying thank you to Word for correcting my typing. When I got my first job, I had a lot of debt. It took many years before I was financially secure. It took many years before I had enough money to survive, comfortably. Got my job, had a lot of debt, probably from university or something. You had to borrow money to go to university. Took many years before I had enough money mm, to be safe. This is safe from, let's say I have to go to the hospital and I can't make any money. I have enough money in the bank that it doesn't cause a problem. If my car breaks down, I have enough money to pay for my car. So these things are important. This is financial security, is being able to pay for the things that happen to people in just day-to-day life. Accidentally, mentally just means by accident. By accident. Mm, not on purpose. Now we always think of accidentally as bad stuff. Oh, I accidentally, whoa, I accidentally sent my boss an email where I was complaining about her. Oh no, this happens. Sent email to my boss. I was complaining about her. I sent an email to my boss where I was complaining about her. I'm trying to make a good sentence that still makes sense, still has the same meaning. So then I would have to just put not on purpose. I meant to send the email to my friend. You can see my problem. I'm now trying to make a big long sentence to explain accidentally, but I don't think I should do that. Let's try this again. I accidentally sent my boss an email I put the wrong name in the to section of the email and sent my boss an email. Sent my boss an email where I was complaining about her. That's not too bad. I was typing the name. Maybe I was thinking about my boss, so I typed my boss's name. Then I typed the email and I tell to my friend, "My boss always complains. My boss is so difficult." Da 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 da. And then I hit send, and then I go, "Oh no, I just sent it to my boss." I have done that in chat or things. So I was sending a chat to my friend. I was complaining about my other coworker, and I clicked the wrong name, sent it to my coworkers. I've had this accident actually happen to me. It's very, very embarrassing. You have to be very careful. Last one, individually. Oh, individually. Thank you. Uh, easiest way, one by one or not in a group. So let's get a couple spaces. I'm thinking, when do you talk to people one by one, or when do you have people do things one by one and not in a group? Ah, I wanted the students to do their presentations individually, not in a group, to help them build their confidence. So, students have to do presentations. Sometimes you do group presentations, 2, 3, 4 students together. But that means sometimes one person does a lot of work and other people don't do as much. Not really fair. So then you want them to do it individually. So they have to do 100% of the work. They do 100% of the work and they get a good result. Hopefully they feel better. That's nice. So I wanted students to do their presentations one at a time, not in groups of 3 or 4, to help them build their confidence. Great. So if we go back to the question, Jane bought 5 silk handkerchiefs because she was going to give each one to a different friend. So she has 5 friends. She's going to give one handkerchief, one handkerchief, one handkerchief, one handkerchief, one handkerchief. She asked the sales clerk to wrap them. She wants to give 5 different presents. So she doesn't want them in a group. She wants them individually. So Jane bought 5 silk handkerchiefs because she was going to give each one to a different friend. Asked the sales clerk to wrap them individually. That's good. In the first lecture, Professor Smith something how important it was to take good notes. He mentioned it 3 or 4 times. This, I agree with Professor Smith. Uh, a lot of students listen, they don't take notes. I think writing stuff down helps you remember it. So if you look at something and you go, "Ah, that's interesting. That's good." You think it's in your brain. Don't think that's true. I think you have to do something. I don't think typing has the same feeling. Typing's good, but I actually think writing something down, making good notes, good practice, it helps your brain take the information in. Let's look at the words. So we have engaged, divided, buried, stressed. Okay, so these are some good words. Engaged. There's a couple ways to use engaged. The one I'm thinking about is when you have teachers and students. And so if engaging means it's interesting. So Interesting means if the can also mean doing something. I have to make it clear. So up here, what I did is this is the same individually, one by one, or not in a group. That's the same meaning. If I do that down here, that makes it seem like this is the same. These are two different meanings. So I have to figure out a way to do that. And Sounds Great English is kind of a new project. So I'm trying to come up with a system. So I I should just do a whole other line. That. So it means engaged means interesting, and engaged means doing something. So then I can do each one underneath. That's pretty good. So this way I can get a couple of definitions. So this way I can get a couple definitions on the screen, and then I will remember. That's actually the important part. I have to remember to do each one, not just individually. So engaged, interesting. I would almost want to use engaging. So I was very engaged in the lecture because the professor was so funny. I was very interested in the lecture. I just had another thought. The lecture because the professor was so funny. I was paying attention to the lecture because the professor was so funny. That's good. So this is engaged as in I'm interested. The movie was engaging. The speech was engaging. I was engaged because it's in the past. The other one is doing something. Peter is engaged in recording. Sounds great English at the moment. Peter is busy doing the work of recording. Sounds great English at the moment. Since it's a title, I want to keep them all capitalized. So Peter is engaged. Right now, I am doing something. I'm busy. Peter is engaged in recording Sounds Great English. You could have other things are engaged. He is engaged in a phone call. The computer is engaged in an action. So when I make this video, I have to render. To render a video is to make a video. So the computer is engaged in rendering the video. Actually, let's do that. Computer is busy making the video. So the idea is that if it's engaged, it's busy, it doesn't have time, it's doing one thing. So I'm doing something, which means I don't have time to do something else. But this up here, interested, I was engaged in the movie, just means I was very interested in the movie and what was happening. We also know engaged, promised to get married. So the couple got engaged at dinner last night. The couple, come on, promised to marry each other last night. So that's a couple different ways you can use the word "and." Divided. To divide is to separate. I feel like maybe I should take out the ed because it's really the verb, right? To divide. Yeah, and I should go back to equals. I should do all the equals up here because it's equals, equals, equals. I'll fix that later, though. To divide is to separate. Don't know if this is better or worse typing than the other episodes I've done. To divide, to separate. I divided the pizza into 8 pieces for everyone. Separated the pizza into 8 pieces for everyone. Then everyone can take a piece of pizza. So it just means to separate, to put into pieces, to take away. It's just math. Yeah, to divide is also in math. How do I do it? It's not a fraction. We don't have the symbol on the computer that I know. How do I explain? Because to divide is to divide. You have 9 divided by 3 is 3. It's 3 times 3 is 9. 9 divided by 3. So the opposite, multiply? God, I'm not happy with using an opposite. I'm not happy using an opposite to explain something. I've never tried to explain math with English because usually you would just write math on the board and go see because everyone studies math in school. They all understand. That's quite hard. But I'll give you the actual English. This was something we talked about in one of my classes was how to say the math in English. So 9 divided by 3 is 3. Or 9 divided by 3 equals 3. Those have the exact same meaning. Sometimes people say is, sometimes they say equals. Whoa, I don't want to do that. The other one would be 9 divided by 3 equals 3. That's not the right symbol though. It's just like a 3, but you know what I mean. There's a couple for divided. Okay. Buried or buried. Depends where you come from. I say depends. It depends on the sentence. If I say buried or buried, I think I say buried more often. So like buried treasure. Okay, well that's what. Okay, I'm going to use the verb, and I'll change the other ones after. So if you get the document, it'll look a little different because I'm going to change it from the word to the verb if it's a verb. To dig a hole, put in the ground. There's a couple others we're going to use after, but this is the most simple one. Always the first image when I think of bury something is to bury treasure. Pirate buried the treasure in the jungle. The pirate hid the treasure by digging a hole in the jungle, putting it in the hole, and covering it with dirt again. That's a very complicated explanation for just dig a hole, put something in it, and cover it. But that is to get all the details. to bury like a story is also to kind of hide, to put, because you hear about a newspaper maybe tries to bury a story. They take a very important story and they put it in the middle of the newspaper where most people won't see it. So you can see, to bury a treasure is a thing you put in the ground so that people can't see the thing. To bury a story is to put it in the middle of the newspaper so that people will not see the story. I'm trying to think the nicest way to say that is to hide it, kind of to hide. Take attention away from. So what they want to do, now I'm thinking I should put to bury and then have it right above the pirate and then to bury and then have it. That's something we'll worry about later. It's just if I do this, you can just look at the definitions. The the newspaper buried the story, page 80. So people wouldn't know about president's scandal. So President Trump in America, he has a lot of problems. If I was making a newspaper and I love President Trump, I maybe want to hide the stories about him by putting them in small print in the middle of the newspaper. The newspaper tried to take attention away from the story by putting in the middle of the newspaper where people people would not see it, because that's the idea. Where are we? Oh my. Last one, stressed. Okay. So we have, well, there's stress, which equals trouble in your life. I think people learn stress very quickly because we talk about stress a lot. Pressure. And then there's to stress. This is kind of a verb and a noun. So stress, like the stress I feel from work was one kind of stress. The stress I feel from my family. My family want me to do all these things for them, so then I feel stress. That's kind of a noun. It is a feeling. To stress is to say more loudly, say more strongly, to make sure people hear this part. What you're doing, if I'm stressing something, is I'm saying it stronger so that you will hear that word. That's the important word I want you to hear. So let's give you some examples. I had to work a lot of overtime, and my family is very busy. So I am feeling a lot of stress lately. I work a lot of overtime. You're working too much. Home life is very busy. So I'm feeling too much pressure lately. Pressure isn't really a better word than stress, though. I think stress is the simpler word. I think because a lot of students do learn it very early on because everyone feels stress. That's what happens. It's very natural. Let me give you the other one, anyways. To stress. My students weren't oh, weren't listening. So I no, that's not right. I almost want to use the exact because this is the right answer for this sentence. I almost used the exact kind of sentence they made in it. That's the problem. If I read the sentence and then you hear the answer and then you want to make an example, the answer is in your head. Uh, Stress to my children every night that they shouldn't homework with the television on because it is a distraction. Ooh, that's a good sentence. Let's make that one a little easier to understand. I need to say strongly to my children every night that they shouldn't do homework with the television on because they will not pay attention to their homework properly. The TV will be the thing they end up watching, not their homework, paying attention to their homework, focusing on their homework. So that's important. You have to pay attention to your homework. I Music is okay. I actually think that when you study something, you should kind of have silence. I know not everybody likes that, so I don't try to be too strong. But the TV on means you're studying. You look at the TV. You study. Look at the TV. That's bad. Music, at least you can keep looking at what you're looking at. But I'm not actually very happy that the kids still watch TV. Let's check our last answer. In the first lecture, Professor Smith, something how important it was to take good notes. He mentioned it 3 or 4 times. So he said it again and again and again. That is him emphasizing it, making it stronger in the speech. Engaged. So if Professor Smith does a good lecture, the students will be engaged. In the first lecture, if the students are divided, means he separates them or they disagree. Another one. Disagree. So everyone was divided on how to solve problem. Everyone, no one could agree on how to solve problem. I think I'm typing a little faster. What happened? I'm back. Okay. As soon as I say I'm typing faster, I mess something up. Everyone was divided. No one could agree. That actually has the same meaning. Everyone was so I think we should solve the problem this way. I think we should solve the problem this way. And those two people, they're divided. They disagree on how to solve the problem. Now, this isn't angry. It could be. So often people right now, because of in America, the opinions of the Republicans and the Democrats, the two parties, are very separate. They say the country is divided. The country is separated into very strong feeling Republicans and very strong feeling Democrats. It's a country divided, is what you'll hear. And that just means this is a country that they cannot agree on issues. That was good. You got an extra sentence in there. Buried. So if Professor Smith maybe could have buried, he had many, many, many points, but the important point was buried in all the noise he made. That's possible. But in the first lecture, Professor Smith stressed how important it was to take good notes. He mentioned it 3 or 4 times. He said it again and again and again. He wanted it to be stronger. He wanted to say more loudly, to say more strongly, I think is what we would be doing. Make sure people hear this part. So that's about 30 minutes. Let's stop there. Hopefully, I will see you again next week for more vocabulary